I suppose I had the picture-perfect family. Everything looked beyond not just normal, just great. We were a loving family. It was everything I had ever planned for, wanted. I had my 3 beautiful children, my loving husband, the kids were close, we were all close as a family. We played games together, we ate together, we laughed together, we loved together. It was everything I ever planned for and everything I always wanted. And then it wasn't.
It was hard for me to really distinguish what was normal experimentation, what would become a problem. It was very bewildering.
It's all, in a lot of ways, kind of a blur, just punctuated by very extreme moments of really good moments or really bad moments. And that time, while it felt like it was an eternity while it was happening, feels very far away now, and in some ways really hard to go back to those times in between the punctuating moments.
The faces in the picture were just not the same.
Where's the difference? How do you say, well, why can't
the relationships were changing?
I stopped whatever destructive behavior I was doing. Why can't you stop?
Love was strained. The whole mix just was taking on a different color, and
as it progressed, there was a sense of frustration. There was certainly a feeling of denial that I would not recognize what seemed to be real issues with the behavior. Wanted it to go away, thinking it would go away, thinking it was just normal adolescent behavior.
Which, obviously, in hindsight,
but as it progressed,
preposterous. But
the behavior also progressed in how I would react to it. There was one incident, very memorable, when we had to drive around. Found him passed out, sprawled in the doorway of a car, with a car running, not knowing if he was dead or alive. It was terrifying. That image has stuck with me to this day.
It was that dynamic of two ships passing in the dark. He was doing his thing, I was living my life. We didn't, to my recollection, we didn't
everything
converse
was in
a lot
whispers
during those years. There were times when I would come home,
quiet direction.
We would be sitting
his
at the
problem
desk
was
that we
becoming
shared,
all of our problems.
working
We all
on the
had
computer,
to
sometimes
walk
with
on
music
eggshells
playing,
and not make him angry or not
noise
bring
in the
up the
room.
wrong
He'd
things,
have his
or
back to the door,
not
the way
make
our
my
room was
mom
set up.
upset because she would get upset about it so
With,
easily. And
usually a big hoodie on, with the
I
hood
just
up.
remember feeling so angry.
And so I'd come walking
so
in,
much of the time. But at the
just see
same
his
time, we were
back
so
to me,
close
not
in a
know
lot
what
of
kind of
ways,
mood
and
he'd
so
be in, not know,
There was frustration. There was some.
if he was going to acknowledge.
There
me
was
at
some
all,
resentment,
or if he did, how
or
how
certain
friendly he would be.
one area in particular. I had,
And this was when I did start to know that there was a problem.
and cast
involved in
a play, The
things.
Music Man.
And it was
And
so
Tony had,
so there was a lot of
strained, and
almost avoidance of just not
there
wanting
was so
to
much
set him off,
anger,
not
and
wanting to.
I was just trying to keep
I don't
everything
even
fight
remember specifically what that
floating in
was
there
now, but I know
all
I
the
had to drop out of
time.
the
It
play
was-
because we had to deal with the problem.
It was like
Just interrupt whatever he was
living
doing. I
in a
would get
war
whatever I
zone
needed or whatever I
when
came in there
the
to
two
do,
of them
and I would
were home
go to
and in
another
the
part of the
same
house.
place.
that's just seems like the overriding sentiment when I look back on that time of just, this is your problem. Now it's my problem. Your problem is becoming my problem. It's so selfish looking back at it to think of it that way, but
was
that
out of control.
that's just how I felt so much of the time.
And I had
she would tell me her
sacrificed
worries, we would
friendships,
hash it out,
and
and
I didn't know
almost,
who I could
hold
trust,
each other up.
and
I think
I
was just overwhelmed by this feeling of
just retreated
Absolute.
to very quiet, dark
Yes.
places
blinding
because
anger.
There was
And
certain
it was
sense
safe.
of anger.
It was
my
just
way
safe
of dealing with that was just
not to share
not talk about it at all.
this mess of a life with
one of the biggest
anyone.
ways that it did affect me,
no one would know our
Was-
secrets.
the secrecy of it, not being able to talk to anybody
Nobody
about
would
it outside of the immediate
Talk
family,
about us or
because
the kind of
Not a
parents
lot of
we
people
were
knew
or weren't.
outside the
or
immediate family, we didn't
that-
want a lot of people to know. And so the things I
Give
would
us
hear from my
those
parents, I would have to
pitiful
keep to myself. I
looks
couldn't
and-
tell my friends or my girlfriend. So that was difficult for me.
And
And I
just remember feeling totally helpless. I can't do anything to fix
I couldn't
this.
even look in the mirror anymore.
And I almost felt
I-
guilty that I was so happy in my life. My parents were so miserable.
I had lost myself.
And I was like, this is
As
going to
lost
destroy
as
them.
he was, I was
mean,
equally as lost.
I remember thinking, like, this is going to ruin my parents.
I'd lost my
financially,
integrity.
Physically. I feel like both of them just were so exhausted
Forthright.
and tired and
Nature.
anxious and sad and angry, all mixed up together all the time. It's
A
exhausting.
person who looked at
wanting to
life
protect him and not really knowing how,
honestly and
because there was so
dealt
much
with
that I was again
things.
detached from, to go back to that word, and not directly involved with. So in a lot of ways,
But I never felt that
like
it
an
was
observer, more than an
detrimental
active
to our family
participant
dynamic.
in even the family
Just to
discussions, because I would hear things
sacrifice
secondhand,
much more
thirdhand,
than
and not as they were happening.
we ever expected. It wasn't just
Quite possible there
money.
were detrimental
it was
effects that I was just not aware of. But as far as how I felt during those
our
times,
name and what we
We
stood
were
for
unified
and the values that we
family
believed in and
unit.
what we had
trying to
always
address and
taught
get
our
through the
children
problem
as a good value system and what you woke up with in the morning knowing that you believed in and
But certainly it was a tremendous price of his addiction for me, and I think in a unique way that I sort of experienced that loss alone still. And it was like the sun coming up over a frozen field, just slowly thawing everything and healing everything. And his recovery has meant our recovery as a family in so many ways.
I feel that in my personal growth, I am kinder. I am less judgmental. I strive to be honest and gentle, and if life is not perfect, that is okay. Perfect isn't always what is good. We just are, and that works for us.